Okay, period 1. So this is going to be like part 2 of the notes. Okay. So I want to know, of all the problems we've done with inequalities, the ones we just finished doing, whoa, the ones that we've done like last week, the week before, all of these that we've been doing for like the last 2 weeks, have we ever changed the inequality while doing the math? Right? Has it always just stayed the same? We just drop it down, right? We just drop it down, dropped it down, drop it down. The only time we changed it was when the variable was on the other side, right? But in the math problem, we didn't change it, right? So you see all of these problems, we just dropped it down, right? We didn't change the inequality. We didn't flip it at all. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to teach you the one time that it flips. And not because the x is not first, because it's something different. So this is where so just remember that we spent like 3 weeks not flipping the inequality. But today we are. My fear is, oh, I get to flip it? Let me flip it every single time. No. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to take the problem we did last week, this one. I'm going to change something. I'm going to do negative 5x plus 35 is less than or equal to 80. So the only difference between this problem and the one we did last week is this negative coefficient, this negative number right here. It was last week it was 5. This week is negative 5. How does that affect our math? Well, it affects it greatly. It's going to still be the same. The first part, minus 35 minus 35. We get 45 is less than or equal to negative 5x. Now, this is multiplication, so you are going to divide. That still stays the same. Divide, right? What number am I going to divide by? I'm going to divide by negative 5, negative 5. So x, and then this gives you what's a positive divided by a negative? A negative. So this is going to give you negative 9. But watch out. Careful. Pay attention. Look up. Oh my God, stop. Focus. Look what I'm going to do. And I didn't make a mistake. I did not make a mistake. We flip it. Flipped it. Past tense. Flip it. Flipped it. What? Why? Okay, we spent 3 weeks not flipping it. Why all of a sudden are we flipping it? Why all of today? I'm not even here. I'm going to teach you this. Why all of a sudden? What's different? The difference is not the answer is negative, because we have had negative answers. The answer is right here. Because we divided by a negative number, you flip the inequality. Okay? So when you divide or multiply by a negative, you're going to have to flip the inequality. You flip it at the end, or as soon as you divide or multiply by a negative. Yeah, I know it's a big deal, guys. Now let's graph it. Negative 9, negative 10, negative 11. Be careful on your negative number line. Negative, right? Everything's backwards. So this still is closed, but instead of shading to the right, because this is pointing to the right, you're actually going to be shading to the left. To the left. Because our new inequality tells us to shade to the left. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to shade to the left. Okay? I'm gonna take it one step back. Okay? For the next problem, I'm gonna take it one step back. I'm gonna do an easier problem just so we can clarify a couple of things. If I have negative 3x is greater than or equal to, let's say, negative 6. okay? So it's a one step. I'm going to divide by -3. I'm going to divide by -3, right? So we're left here with x. What's a negative divided by a negative? A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this gives you +2. Okay, we have a positive. But because I divided by a negative, I'm going to flip, switch, however you want to call it, the inequality. So it's no longer pointing to the left, it's pointing to the right because I divided by a negative. Doesn't matter what my answer is. My answer could be positive, my answer could be negative. That doesn't matter. What matters is that the fact that when you're showing your work, hence I always, push you to show your work. Because right here, the fact that this bottom number is a negative rings a bunch of bells and go like, oh my God, I gotta flip it. Okay, so if I do the number line 2, 1, 0, 3, and 4, it's a closed circle and I'm gonna shade to the right. Now, this is the reason why I wanted to, sorry, I should have started off with this problem, but it is what it is. This means that all of these answers I can plug in here and make this statement true. -3 times a number is less than or equal to -6. So I'm looking for an answer that's less than or equal to -6. So if I choose a number, let's say 3, because 3 is technically highlighted. If I go -3 times +3, is that going to be less than or equal to -6? This gives me -9. Is -9 less than or equal to -6? Yes, because -6 is closer to 0. And I shaded it, which is perfect. Now, what if I did not flip it and I ended up shading this way? Let's choose 0. -3 times 0 is less than or equal to -6. Well, -3 times 0 is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to -6? Is 0 less than or equal to -6? No, right? 0 does not work if I plug it back into my inequality. So hence, it can't be shaded because it's not going to give me a correct solution here at the end. That's why we flip the inequality, because your true values, the numbers that we have to shade, are actually opposite to this. Okay? So let's do another one. X over -4 is greater than, let's say, 10. Yeah, it's a one step, just because I want you to practice this part. I'm going to multiply by a -4, multiply by a -4. X, what's a positive times a negative? A positive times a negative is -40, right? No, hold on. Okay. Now, because I multiply by a negative number, I flip the inequality. Okay, you flip the inequality. So instead of saying greater than, I have to say less than. So all the numbers that are less than -40 will make this sentence true. Okay, so x is less than -40. So now I'm going to graph it. -40, -41, -42, -39, -38. It is going to be an open circle and I'm going to shade to the left. Okay, so this is like level 100 of inequalities. When do you flip it? You flip the inequality when you multiply or when you divide by a negative. It doesn't matter if your answer is negative or if your answer is positive. That's not the issue here. The issue is, what did you multiply by or what did you add? What did you multiply by or what did you divide by? If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip it, okay? No matter what your answer is, it's the work. All right, let's try doing a longer one. X over -5 minus 10 is greater than or equal to, let's say, 45. Okay? So we're going to draw our bars. Ask yourself, do I move the -5 or the 10? First, you're going to move the 10. So you're going to add 10 to both sides, still the same. 45 plus 10 is 55. Now I added 10. That doesn't matter. Bring it straight down. Even if like your answer over here was negative or this number was negative, it's cool. No big deal because you're not multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay? Doesn't count for add and subtract. Okay. Now here I'm going to multiply by -5, multiply by -5. Okay, a bell rings. Because you multiplied by a negative, you're going to flip the inequality. Flip it. Flip the inequality. Okay, 55 times 5. 25 carry the 2, 27. So what's a positive times a negative? A negative. Don't forget those rules. So this is negative 275. Nice. Nice big numbers. All right, here's our number line. Negative 275 in the middle. 276. 278. I don't know how to count. 277. Sorry about that. Negative 274. Negative 273. Right? This gives me a closed circle on negative 275. And I checked that I flipped it. And it's shade to the left. Okay, so that's like the next level of inequalities. Is when do you flip the inequality? You only flip it when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, don't start flipping everyone. Don't start flipping all of your inequalities. That's the number one things kids do is they start flipping everything. Oh, cool, she flipped it. I'm gonna flip it every single time. And it's like, no. Guys, remember, you've just spent 3 weeks not flipping, right? So the only time you're gonna flip here is when you multiply or divide by negative. Probably like 5% of the time that you're gonna have a problem, you flip. The rest of the time, you're not flipping. Most of the time, you don't flip, especially in 7th grade, you don't flip. But when you get into the higher math, you end up doing a lot of flipping. So, okay, you're gonna have some problems like this that involve you flipping and some problems that don't involve flipping. Go slow, show your work.